Hi, this is Trinesha Catrell, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I'm so grateful to have you here on this journey of self discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we're going to talk about, do you really want it? Like, are you okay enough to get what you want, to sacrifice things that you don't have yet? Are you okay with that? But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more uplifting, empowering content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. So, I know I'm on here a little late. I was out and about, and just to let you know ahead of time, I will not be on the video tomorrow because I will be out and about again tomorrow. You know, it's close to the holidays. I got to get some holiday shopping, holiday events, and things like that. So I won't be on here, but I'm going to try to give you as much information, educate you as much as I possibly can with the things that I've learned in my life. And whenever, whenever I see something that's helpful to me, I try to give that information to other people. So earlier today, I was listening to this video, this podcast that I always listen to whenever my spirits get low, whenever hope gets deferred, whenever I feel like I'm in a waiting season and it just feels like, okay, it's this thing after this thing after this thing, or something happens and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it just seems like maybe I'm too hard. Maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I need to do it this way, and I start to think of all these different things in my life. And when I listen to this podcast, it's called She Laughs Co. podcast. And if I remember, I'll link it down below in the description after the video is posted. But it's this podcast, and this young lady, she talks about a lot of relationship stuff. She talks about being single. She talks about a bunch of different things. And so anything that I can do to learn how to be a better version of myself, I always listen to. And sometimes when you're single, when you're in a waiting season, you're waiting for the job, you're waiting for the car, the house, the man, the woman, whatever it is that you're waiting for in your life, it could just feel like an eternity, or it could feel like you're doing all the right things and maybe you're comfortable waiting, but you're like, okay, like if you're like me, I love being single and I like being by myself, and I'm not trying to block my blessings and make it so no man comes along, or, the right man doesn't come along. I'm just saying that I really do enjoy being by myself. I enjoy just, having the bed all to myself. I enjoy, and I don't mean like because I'm not single, there, just saying. And also, when it comes to food, I don't have to say, oh, do you want pizza? No, I don't. You don't like pizza? Okay, well, I guess I won't eat pizza. I guess we got to pick something else and compromise. I would do that with the right person. But I'm just saying, those are things that I don't have to do while I'm single. And then also, like, if I'm going somewhere, I don't have to worry about someone else not wanting to go to that place. I could just go there. I don't have to worry about somebody not wanting to go to walk outside and it's like 40 degrees. If I want to walk down to the beach or something, I'm going to walk down to the beach. I would still do that even if I was with someone. But I'm just saying, there are things that you can do by yourself that you don't have to check with someone else to do. Now, when God sends a person into my life, I am going to still, I understand I will have to share a lot of things. There are things that I will have to do with another person, and I'm okay with that as well. I'm okay either way, and so as I'm going through this journey, when I'm waiting, while I'm waiting, and while God is prepping me, and, because I had some immaturity, I had things that I had to learn, I had to grow in certain areas, I had to be more comfortable in certain situations, I had to actually have my heart open and be willing to actually be with someone, actually accept someone, and actually take down those walls, and keep the guard on my heart, but take down the walls so that I can let the right people in. And that comes to friends, colleagues, and a romantic partner. And so God has really been teaching me a lot in this season. But as I'm waiting, if you're like me, you get to a point where you're doing the right things, you're praying, you're in your Bible, you're going to Bible study, you are content with where you are. You're not worried about being with somebody, and you're like, okay, God, I'm prepping, I'm reading stuff, I'm going to counseling. I am literally doing everything that I possibly can on my end. Am I doing something wrong? Like, that's how I felt in this single season. It wasn't that I was rushing because I need to hurry up and be with somebody. But I also, like, in the back of my mind was like, okay, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. That's why God hasn't sent someone yet. Maybe I'm still broken in a certain area. Maybe there's something that I'm doing that God wants me to do more. Maybe I'm not doing enough in this area. So I start like hustling and bustling times 10, I start being all over the place, doing so much because I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how long I'm going to be single either. So I also want to make sure that all this attention, all the stuff that I need to do, I can go like 80 to 110% all the time whenever I'm focusing on something that God wants me to do in my life. So it's not like I'm exhausted. It's not like I'm not putting forth an effort. I'm really, really determined to do whatever it is that God needs me to do because I don't know how much time I'll have before I have to split that time with someone else. And so, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I think it's great, especially if you're in a healthy relationship with someone who actually cares about you. I wouldn't mind doing that for someone like that. I I just want to take my time and wait on God. I don't want to rush anything. I want to make sure that I'm sure about the decisions that I make in my life because I've made so many mistakes in the past. And as a human, I'm still going to make mistakes, but I also want to make sure that I'm waiting on God. And I think it's important for us to understand while we're waiting for a house, a job, a car, a man, a woman, whatever it is that you're waiting on, to not take it personal. Like if you feel like you're perfect, you probably got a lot of stuff to work on because there's not any person on this earth that's perfect. So there's always something that we can do better. We can learn more about how to be more emotionally intelligent. We can educate ourselves more. We can grow more in an area. We can heal more in an area. We can spend more time with God. We can serve more. We can be more intentional in other areas. We can finish some of the things that God placed on our heart for us to do because sometimes God's just waiting for us to finish something. Sometimes God's just waiting for us to learn something from something that he teaches us in life, maybe an experience, maybe something happens to where you learn more about yourself that you would need to be a good wife or something like that. So it's important for us to know that God's not just making us wait just to be mean. He has us waiting because we're in preparation. And if you've done all you can do, you've been serving, you've been intentional, you've been reading books, you've been educating yourself, you've been going to counseling, you feel healed to the utmost. Like you might not ever be 100% healed because it's always something that you're going to have to grow and learn from, or something that it could be something that happened today. And it's like, okay, I got to grow from this. I got to learn from this. I got to become better from this thing. And you could be doing all those things and God could say, wait, I still need you to wait a month. I still need you to wait a week. I still need you. And when I say a year, people that are single cringe during this moment. But don't think of a year of loneliness. Think of a year of being alone all in one. Think of a year of going on trips that you never imagined, places that you never imagined you would go, being treated like a queen. Think of going places and test driving like race cars and doing donuts in the parking lot. I don't know if other people like doing that, but think of going to see, I'm just going to sound so boring, but think of going to a library and like every book that you could possibly read and going and checking out books, volunteering, reading to like kids and all these other things. Think of helping out an organization that needs more help. They need more volunteers. Think of think of going and having a picnic in the park by yourself. I love doing these things. Like when I tell you it's a whole vibe, like you don't even understand. I get a little blanket. I get some listen, I'm a little I don't want to say I'm not outdoorsy, but I'm outdoorsy, classy-ish kind of person. I don't know how to describe it, but I bring the bug spray. I got the cutter. I got the things to make sure it's no insects. I gotta make sure that I'm not out there getting bit up and it's not a whole bunch of bugs around me. Like I got a whole like kit that I pack when I make a picnic in the park for myself. And I got a blanket. Then I put my sparkling water and I got a little plastic wine glass that I put my sparkling water in. I have like charcuterie board items, or I got like a little sandwich or something, or cheese and crackers. And I mean, it's a whole vibe. I bring a journal or a book. I bring like my phone and I play like really, I either just relax in the outdoor sounds and then read my book or journal while I'm sitting outside and doing this whole picnic by myself. I listen to affirmations that are talking about how I'm beautiful, how I'm smart, how I'm strong, how I am fearfully and wonderfully made, how I am more than a conqueror, how I am blessed coming and I'm blessed going, how I'm a believer, how I believe and have faith for the things that are unseen, because I know that with God, all things are possible. I just start speaking positivity into myself. I sit there and I listen to sermons, and I know this might not be everybody's thing, but when I put on a Sarah Jakes Roberts sermon and I'm sitting in my solo date or I'm in my soak, with the candles lit all around the tub with the rose petals, when it's a whole vibe. Like, I have never felt more empowered and in tuned and in spiritually aligned than when I'm doing a solo date or something solo and I'm playing a sermon in the background or I have something hopeful on. And it just keeps me centered, it keeps me focused, and it keeps me having faith and hope, even in circumstances or times where it seems like there's no possible way. And I have moments, I'm not always 100% strong. I have my moments where I get weak, where I feel like, oh my gosh, it would be so nice to do this with like go to this event with a person. But I learned that just because you're with the person doesn't mean they're going to want to do anything with you. And I would hope for every person that's watching this that the person that you're with would want to do stuff with you, that you wouldn't just feel alone. You wouldn't just, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean that I would hope that when you're waiting for someone that you get everything that your heart desires, that you really get to feel like the queen that you are, like the king that you are, that you really do get to get appreciated, that the person cares for you the right way. Because a question that I ask myself and I think that you should ask yourself is, are you okay being alone? Are you okay being by yourself? You have to really ask yourself that, because if you want something different, if you want a job that nobody else works, that's like your dream job, you're going to have to do things that other people don't do. If And I don't mean like in a bad way or a negative way. I mean, you might have to work harder than the people around you are working. You might have to go after it with the zeal, with this energy that you just never seen before. You might have to put in so much work to get the business started or whatever that you might not have even imagined because you thought it was just going to be easy. You might have to have some standards and boundaries that most people don't do. The world might say, "Oh, it's okay for this. You got to give people leeway. You got to bend. You can't just have this high standard. You can't just expect people to do this." Let me tell you something. If you don't expect something better, how can you expect anything better? I know I'm saying it twice, but listen, you want something different, but you're going to settle for something that everybody else has or what the world has. That's not a way to get what you want. If you want to get what you want, you have to be okay being by yourself. If you meet a person and you have a healthy, I'm emphasizing healthy standard and boundary, and a person does not adhere to that healthy standard and boundary, then you have to be okay being by yourself and walking away. You have to be okay saying, well, I'm just going to be single. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try you, that are going to say, well, I'm not doing that, or make it seem super outrageous. Like, what? You want to be treated the right way? That's ridiculous. What? You want someone to actually respect you as a person? Oh, what? That's ridiculous. And it's so funny because people will really try you to see how far they can go to get away with the things that they want to do, because who wouldn't want to take the easy way out? So when you make it easy on people, they're going to treat you exactly the way that you let them treat you. They're not going to put forth an effort. They're not going to do any of the things that they need to do because you said that it's okay to treat you like that. And if you want more, you have to act like you want more. You can't just be like, oh, I want more, but it's okay. Like, no, if you want more, be like, you got to be about it. If you want certain things, if you have certain, and I don't mean nothing outrageous, because I be seeing, I have women around me that just have these outrageous list, like 3-4 pages long, and it's like, he's got to look like this, he's got to have teeth like this. And I'm not saying, people shouldn't take care of their dental health and things like that, so don't get on my case. He's got to have a nose like this, he's got to be this complexion, he's got to be 6 foot, 6 pack with 6 figures, he's got to he's got to have hair like this, because if his hair isn't like Jesus, then I can't date. I'll be like, oh my gosh. They be like, yeah, he's gotta be in the gym 6 days a week. And then they're like, I'm like, okay, he gotta be in the gym 6 days a week, and you want him to look like this. And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, do you work out? And they'll be like, nah, I don't really work out. So you want a guy that's in the gym. You want him to spend time with you, but he gonna be in the gym. You don't plan on working out with him at all. I don't know. It just be confusing me. This world, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just so confused out here in these streets. Like, I don't understand. None of it makes any sense to me. And so, if you're saying that you want something, you have to first be about it yourself. And then you also have to stick to your standards, your healthy standards. I have to keep reiterating that, because it does not need to be no engrossed, super large, giant list of preferences. That's not a standard, that's a preference. The difference between, I gotta break this down real quick, I'm not gonna be on here too long, but the difference between a standard and a preference is, a standard is something, a healthy standard is something that you set for yourself to protect yourself, so that you can make sure that people don't walk all over top of you and treat you like trash, because you know that this is a hard pass and this is something that you need in your life. A preference is, oh, if he could be the complexion of coffee and 6 foot, and he could be driving a Ferrari, or he could be, I don't know. Like, it's just I be hearing so many crazy things. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get on you and call you names or anything like that for the people that do this. But preferences are just like something that you don't really need, that it would be nice to have. Like, you got to make sure that what you're asking for is actually a healthy standard, because it's actually a need emotionally. You want to make sure someone takes care of you emotionally. You want to make sure that someone really is consistent so you can build trust. You want to make sure that someone really is persistent in pursuing you, because you want to feel wanted, and you want to know that that person actually is interested in you. You you really need somebody who cares about you. Why would you want to be with somebody that don't care about you? You need to be chosen, not just an option. Because if you're just an option, then what's the point of being with that person? These are things that are real healthy standards to have. The preferences is like, oh, he just has to look really good, and then we can just figure out the rest. Or he just has to have this much money, and then we'll figure it out the rest. Okay, so he gives you a gift and he don't care about you. Like, is that what you want in your life, or do you want something different? Because if you want something different, you got to do something different. Most people know the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again, the same thing, expecting a different result. So if you keep dating the same type of man because you want all of these preferences, and you don't want anyone with really any real core values, then you're going to keep getting the same result. And then you're like, oh, I just want to be married. You want to be with a man that God has for you, and God knows what you need. So you got to actually ask yourself, what is it that I actually need in my life? And what is it that I just want? Like, I want a guy that's 6 foot, but does he need to be 6 foot? I want a guy that makes 6 figures, but if he's got a vision, can he make 6 figures anyways? Like, I want a guy who looks nice, but maybe you're attracted to the guy, and the guy is attentive and really takes care of you emotionally, physically. Like, he just is on it, you know? And that means way more than being with some guy that looks like he walked off the front page of a magazine. And the guy that you're with, the more that he treats you better, the better he looks. He just keep on going up. His finances going up, his looks going up, his body going up, because both of y'all exercising together. He just looking like you just won all the way around, because you got rid of what you wanted and you actually got what you needed. You so emotionally attended to, you don't even care about nothing else. People be like, oh yeah, but this and that. And you be like, listen, don't put your insecurities on me and I got going on over here. I'ma just focus on what I got to do. So when you get tried, because everybody will try you because they want an easy out. That's most people. Like kids do this, some women do this, men do this, everybody does this. When you give somebody an easy out and you say, hey, I really do want somebody that, I'm trying to think of an example, a good example. Someone who sets a time to be somewhere. Like let's say they say, hey, I'm going to be there at 5. This is a silly example, but this is the only one I can think of. Someone asks you on a date, they say they're going to be there at 5. If they show up at 6 o'clock, you can't go on the date. I know you're probably thinking that's outrageous, but do you want to be treated good, or do you want to be treated like everybody else? Do you want to just let people just walk all over top of you and give you the bare minimum and breadcrumb you, or do you want to be treated like a queen? You have to figure out, are you okay being by yourself? Because there are lots of women that will be okay with that. You have to say, I'm okay with being by myself. I don't need to go on a date. I take myself on a date. And you don't need to say that to the man. Please don't be disrespectful. Like, I'm not saying go out there and disrespect some guy just because he showed up late. I'm saying respect yourself. That's all I'm saying. And so if you know that you want somebody who's going to be intentional and be a person of their word, then they have to do exactly what it is that they say they're going to do. And I'm not saying they end up in some kind of tragedy or something and you got to be so hard on this guy, like, oh well, you should have called me from the ambulance. Like chill out. I'm not saying you got to be like so mean and ungodly that you just crush somebody. I'm saying that you hold people accountable and you make sure that you respect and love yourself enough to be by yourself, because most people are going to test you, they're going to try you, and they're just going to give you the bare minimum, especially if you accept it. And a lot of men will walk away because there's plenty of other women that will accept it. You have to say, I want better than that. I really, like, you gotta want it like you want breath in your body. That's how badly you gotta want this man that's not like any other man in this world. You gotta want him, this man that you imagine that would treat you like a queen, the man that would treat you like Christ loves the church, the man that's gonna respect you, that's gonna honor you, that's gonna love you like you've never been loved before, be so attentive and be so caring of you. You got to do something different. You got to be really about it and say, okay, if I don't get this man that I'm imagining in my mind that God told me that I could get, I don't want nobody else. There's no other man that I'm going to settle for. I will be by myself before I ever settle for just a warm body to be around me. It's nice temporarily to have somebody be attentive to you who, or pretend to be attentive to you, who is breadcrumbing you, who gaslights you, who is not really cares about you at all. But it will never settle in your spirit for you to settle on something that you know is less than what you deserve. Not only that, but you'll be so miserable and so confused and so conflicted. You will not have rest in your spirit and your mind, and you will not be at ease. So is it better compromising your integrity and your peace? Or is it better to be by yourself and have peace until you wait on God for the person that actually will treat you the way that God intended you to be treated? But you can turn even a good man bad if you don't respect and honor yourself. If you don't really stick to what it is that you say. If you say you want someone who is going to care about you or be about it, you need to make sure that you stick to your standards. Make sure that he's about it. And for women too, like if you want a woman who is caring, don't just choose women that just want to use you. Make sure you choose a woman who actually sees you, who actually is going to respect you. You can't, and I say it on both sides because I don't want to just beat up on women and make it seem like we're the only ones that make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If you want something different, you got to do something different. You got to really say, okay, I need somebody who mentally is going to give me peace in my life. She might be bad, but she's bad for me. You know, she might, and I'm not saying you got to be with someone unattractive. I'm just saying that we got to really figure out what's the most important thing to us. And are we okay being by ourselves? And I don't mean be by yourself and still be out in these streets. I mean, be by yourself and really be by yourself. Like, cut all the this sounds like a harsh word, and sorry for my language, but cut all the crap. You got to cut all the crap. You just can't be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna finagle. Maybe if I dip my toe in, maybe if I just, I'm not really over there, but I'm gonna just, ease. I'm just gonna put a foot in the door. I'm not gonna really walk in. No, you gotta be in or out. Like either you want better or you don't. You gotta determine what you want for your life. And when you really are okay, leaving, being okay, being by yourself, enjoying the time that you have in your waiting season, and not just settling, like, because you give somebody an inch and they'll go a mile. Every time you give them a little bit more leeway, they will overset that and then keep on giving you less and less and less and less until you feel unfulfilled. I don't want to live an unfulfilled life, and I hope every person watching this video does not live an unfulfilled life. I hope that you get all the desires of your heart. Everything that you prayed for in this man, this woman, this job, this house, whatever it is that you've been praying for, I hope that person is everything that you imagined in your mind. They're not going to be perfect. They are absolutely not going to be perfect because we're not perfect. So this person that you're imagining is not perfect, but they are perfect for you. So I definitely don't want to be on here too long. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.